Yo, Halster, it's good to see you. We got yet another chapter of Sakamoto Days. Let's go ahead and get started, shall we? Yo, peoples, Qushu92 here. Welcome back to yet another Sakamoto Days chapter reaction. And we are back from break with Sakamoto Days. However, after checking through the list of chapters we are getting, unlike One Piece, Sakamoto Days is not going on break, which means that the only chapter you guys will be getting next week will be Sakamoto Days itself. But last we left out on, we had Rion, who's preparing to face off against Uzuki, who's currently under the Takamoto personality. And while she sees the path to take on Uzuki, it all ends. She can already foresee that any attempt she makes will end in her dying. Rather than it being a matter of, oh, she can find a path to take him out, he leaves absolutely no openings whatsoever while under this personality. So it's really just a clash between Akira and Uzuki, with her kind of getting hit here and there, especially getting buffeted by a whole bunch of slashes, but she still manages to avoid any killing blows from Uzuki, which is quite amazing because there's not that many people who survive an encounter with Uzuki and purposefully clash with him while he's under this personality. So they're fighting, and Kanaguri is just recording all of this. So let's see what happens as they continue their fight. In days 244, commercial break. And it begins with Akira seeing the blade of Uzuki right in front of her eye, and then all of a sudden she gets slashed in the shoulder. Now, mind you, she's been slashed across the body multiple times, but none of them have been fatal wounds. And she's huffing and puffing. And then people are watching this because Kanaguri is basically streaming this to all of Japan. Wow, what an insane battle! Bro, are you watching the live stream online? This girl and X of the new JAA are battling to the death. It's so hardcore! And mind you, remember, in the last chapter, it showed someone bringing in a cake because apparently there's a wedding going on. And the next panel we get is Akira and Uzuki flying through the wall directly in the midst of a wedding. And everyone who's present is just screaming. But Akira and Uzuki are just focused on their fight right now. And Kanaguri is just it seems like he's enjoying this. I've waited so many years for this. Delivering a raw, ultra-intense documentary directly to the audience. Nobody knows how it will end. This is the ultimate cinematic experience. The stage is set, and the actors are engaged. All I have to do is give it my all and capture everything on camera. Show us what you've got, Akira Akao. Let's see what you're made of! And then it shows Uzuki, who's planted on the wall behind Akira, and he has his sword at the ready. And then Akira only manages to spin around and see him before he forcibly grabs her by the face and smashes her into the ground.
This guy is gonna crush my eyeballs!
And whoa. Akira bites onto Uzuki's finger and literally rips it off. This is the most substantial amount of damage Uzuki has ever suffered. He just lost a finger! This ain't a fantasy shonen! This ain't a fantasy manga where the opponent has the ability to regenerate. She just bit his finger, ripped his finger off. And she manages to get away while he's looking at his hand, looking at his finger. And then she spits the finger out and is just laying there on the floor. And then Uzuki gets visibly angry and starts angrily muttering to himself and prepares to draw on Akira. But Akira notices that the bride and groom of this wedding are directly in the path of what Uzuki's going to do. If she doesn't step in and save them, they are going to die. And possibly everyone else in this room if she's not careful.
Watch out!
And when she says this, Uzuki is already past Akira, just EI slashed her, because a big gush of blood comes out of her side this time, after saving the bride and groom. Whoa, for real?
He slashed her big time. Hang in there!
And Kanaguri is just holding on to his camcorder tightly now.
It's almost over.
And Akira is just laying in a ever-expanding pool of blood.
The pain. I'm so cold and scared. But I can't give up. Not until the end.
And then Akira takes the one knife that she has and she throws it upwards. And it only manages to graze. It only manages to graze Uzuki's face. And while she's looking at him, his eyes suddenly roll back down and we can see his pupils now. But it looks like she took this time to take the knife to slice a chandelier that's directly above him. And he notices that Akira is suddenly holding on to his leg. And as it falls to the ground, one of the candles that's lit, it hits the ground, and suddenly everything just goes up in flames. Like, did y'all have gasoline-soaked rugs for this wedding? Did y'all soak the pews and let it dry out beforehand? Because everything goes up in flames immediately. And Kanaguri is just taking all this in.
No matter how talented she is at killing, in the face of an enemy this astronomically powerful, she's helpless.
And Uzuki's standing in the flames trying to be Sephiroth during the Nibelheim incident. And Akira's still laying there with her still looking on.
The young girl's beloved older sister was ripped away from her. Will she get revenge? Will she be saved? She knows not the answer as she swings her blade, but the blow failed to kill her opponent. Incredible! This tragic story will conclude with Akira Akao's exquisite death.
And Kanaguri is really hoping that Akira dies because it'll make his film look better.
Now, Akira, in your final scene, what will you leave us with?
And then Akira's laying there, and Uzuki's preparing to walk up on her. And then, as Uzuki takes his blade to prepare to kill Akira, who walks in and yanks his head back? Who yanks his head back and stops him and looks him dead in the eye? It's Sakamoto! Uzuki goes in for the kill, and all of a sudden, first of all, Sakamoto snuck up on him out of nowhere and just grabs him by the hair and yanks his head back. And then he says, "We meet again," as he takes a pen out and just stabs him in the chest over and over again, just like he just takes a pen and just starts stabbing Uzuki all over his body. And Kanaguri's looking like, Sakamoto?
Mr. Sakamoto, I'm so...
And she stops because Sakamoto stops her.
Impossible! Sakamoto! How could you? You're spoiling my masterpiece! Oh no. With this fatty in the frame, he's ruining the immersive experience!
And he takes the pen and he starts writing on the screen.
Wait, What are you writing on my camera? What are you writing on my camera, you bastard?
And everyone's looking at it, and he's writing out a price point.
Even after messing up an enemy, it still writes exceptionally. A killer ballpoint pen, now available at your neighborhood Sakamoto store.
He literally wrote the price of the ballpoint pen he just stabbed Uzuki with over and over and over again. 290 yen at his store. He's advertising how good his pen is after stabbing the big bad repeatedly like it's nothing. And the last thing we get for this chapter is Kanaguri screaming his heart out, going, "How dare you interrupt my movie with product placement!" And that's the end of the chapter. Oh. Oh my goodness, Sakamoto! Woo! Okay. This was a good chapter. This was a really good chapter. Hold on. I gotta adjust my camera again. But also, there we go. Okay, it's way more centered now. Right. It's way more centered. It's supposed to be right here because I felt like I was too far over on this side during the whole reaction. Apologies for that, Halster, and everybody else. So, Akira's still fighting Uzuki. He's still managing to land more hits on her until she gets distracted by a wedding that's going on, and he manages to pin her down with the threat of crushing the eyes straight out of her skull until she delivers pretty much the first of many. The first of soon-to-be many hits on his body. She bites his finger off. That's gone. This isn't like, oh, we're going to have Kashima show up and then he repairs Uzuki's finger. No, that finger is gone. That is what you would call an endgame boss injury. That finger's gone permanently now. It hasn't made him less capable of wielding a sword, however, but at least Akira took a finger off. But after that, she gets back up, spits the finger out, and then Uzuki gets upset, visibly upset, still while underneath this Sakamoto personality due to the fact that he's been injured so many times because he got slashed by Akira like a couple of times, and now he's lost a finger. So he's visibly angry, goes after Akira and with the intent to fully kill her, but she's also in the path of some newlyweds, soon-to-be marrieds, and she pushes them out of the way, but gets heavily slashed through her side by him, and then she's just left helpless on the ground. And Kanaguri's counting on this because he wants this movie he's showcasing to everyone to be a movie of, after propping up Akira this whole time, he actually wants her to be dead, like you said. He actually wants her to die so that his movie can be more tragic. But before Uzuki can even do anything else to her, Sakamoto shows up, yanks this Joker's head back, and then while he's staring Uzuki in the face, because Uzuki is staring at him with beady eyes and it's rolled up in his head, staring at Sakamoto, Sakamoto says, "We meet again," and proceeds to repeatedly stab him in the chest with a ballpoint pen. Just, if you had told me that Sakamoto was going to come back this fierce out of his coma and trivialize every single person he came across, I would have thought, yeah, I could kind of believe you, but I need to see how that plays out. We're witnessing that playing out right now. This man was in a coma, said, I don't need to use my slim form anymore. I'm stronger as a fat guy. And he not only trivialized Torres without a single injury done to him, but he literally just showed up at Uzuki's headquarters, which is a major major journey from where they were, because they were on the highway getting very close to the JCC, or at least getting on the highway to get to the JCC. Now Sakamoto has doubled back and has gone back to Uzuki's very own headquarters at the JAA itself, saved Akira, and is now just repeatedly stabbed Uzuki with a ballpoint pen. If this doesn't scream we're in the end chapters of Sakamoto Days, I don't know what to tell you. Because if we weren't there, we would have a moment of finding out what happened with Nagumo and Oki, what happened to Gozu and Shishiba and Osaragi, what happened to Shin and Tanabata. We already have Sakamoto at the end boss right now. So I feel like there's some fights that still need to be resolved here. I'm just saying. We just kind of we had our rest before, our rest before the final battle, but you're at your home base in a video game, and then you just decide to fast travel to where the boss is, skipping everyone in between. I feel like we just kind of did that, so maybe we'll get a flashback as to where those fights, like we left off. Like he just finished dealing with Torres in 242 and he's here now. Exactly. Literally 2 chapters later, Sakamoto is already at the head boss, at the big bad for this story. He's already there. There are still other people that we haven't content with. We haven't seen Kipe versus Natsuki and Mafuyu at the JCC. We have no idea where the crazy lady and her baby with the butcher knife are. They're unaccounted for. We still got the other people I mentioned whose fights have not been resolved. And Sakamoto is already there. Either the next chapter we're going to get is going to be a flashback of how he got there in the first place, and maybe we'll see all the things that happened beforehand, but there's still some loose ends. We cannot be at Bowser's Fortress and we still got some stars to collect. We cannot be at the final area of Elden Ring and we didn't get all of the remembrance runes. We didn't get all the great runes. So there's still some stuff we got to contend with here. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think it's a bit soon for Sakamoto to be there, because there's still stuff we gotta go over. Now, mind you, let's see how these chapters play out. Maybe I'm just speaking preemptively. But I didn't think we would have Sakamoto encountering Uzuki this soon. Granted, I can't imagine anyone rescuing Akira other than Sakamoto, but I didn't think it was gonna happen this quickly, where Sakamoto shows up already. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I am just utterly shocked. I'm just utterly shocked that Sakamoto is here. Now, it's either one or two things, and this one thing I'm about to say is probably going to be a bit of a wild theory. That's either Sakamoto, or that's Nagumo posing as Sakamoto. But then again, the counter to that theory is the fact that how would Nagumo know exactly how much a ballpoint pen is priced? Granted, he worked a little bit at Sakamoto's store when he was watching, but maybe that is Sakamoto and he's just here to just flat out fight. And maybe I'm just way off in the left field with that theory. I hope we get a little more action from Sakamoto versus Uzuki before we cut away to the other fights. I hope so too. Because remember, the last time Sakamoto went up against Uzuki, it was basically even. And this is Uzuki before he gained the Takamoto personality. This is before then. Afterwards, he just became incredibly dangerous, with him being... The last time Sakamoto saw Uzuki, Uzuki stabbed him through the chest and almost killed him. That is the last time these two have interacted. And now Sakamoto is back and he's stronger than ever. So my question is, how strong is he in comparison to Uzuki using the Takamoto personality, which is basically a copy of the most powerful assassin to ever exist? So this will be the test to see just how strong Sakamoto is. because he trivialized an order member. He just just casually trivialized an order member. So now the question is, how strong is Sakamoto against Uzuki in his current new, stronger, more powerful state? It's crazy to think that all the other times we've seen Sakamoto in his fat state and he was doing ridiculous stuff, that wasn't even his strength fully realized. He basically essentially nerfed himself like Kenpachi does, just because he has a family now. And now that he's woken up and decided, you know what, it's probably best if I use all of my strength to protect my family, instead of just doing the bare minimum now. So it should be interesting to see how the next altercation between Sakamoto and Uzuki is actually going to go. So let me see what you said here, Halster. I want to go through all of it. So proud of Akira that she's been able to last this long, because not many people have. That's the thing. Many people have instantly died when faced with Takamura or this personality. For Akira to last this long, get slashed by Uzuki, and still be alive, she's one of the few people in the world to actually survive this personality. Direct confrontation with this personality. Especially with Kanaguri getting in her way last chapter too. We see people watching the live stream too because this is being broadcast. Oh my god, Oh my god, she bit off his finger. Let's go. Trying to take him down with her. I gotta respect it. Wow, Kanaguri really wanted her dead from the beginning, since she wants her to be a tragic death for him for his film. Sakamoto is here this early. Wasn't expecting that. Yeah, I know. I wasn't expecting that either. Let's go, Sakamoto. Go full JoJo with that pen. It's a marketing god. I feel like, let me see. I feel this all but confirms the series is ending sooner rather than later, considering Sakamoto has arrived here this soon. Yep. And I hope none of the other fights are resolved off screen. I hope not either. Ain't no way you're gonna introduce someone like Kipe and saying like, well, if this room is supposed to withstand any sort of strength, I guess I need to go beyond strength. And he just demolishes the entire wall in and of itself. Someone that strong, you cannot off screen. You cannot do that. I do believe this is actually Sakamoto. I think he went off ahead and trusted the others to deal with the other order members and do permanent damage to him while he's in this state. Yeah, exactly. No one has been able to survive or do any amount of damage to Uzuki while he was in the Takamura state. Akira is the first person to do so. Not only that, not only give him like an injury on his arm, but literally rip off his finger on his right hand. She is the first person to not only survive Uzuki in the Takamura state, but also still injure him while also in this state. This is something that happened before Sakamoto did, which just shows you that her potential is incredible as an assassin in the future. But Sakamoto being here, however, it's got me hopeful. And the fact that we are not going on break from this particular chapter means that we get to see either one or two things. We're either going to see a continuation of this fight, or we're going to get like a little mini flashback at the beginning of the manga, at the beginning of the chapter, showcasing Sakamoto telling everyone else, I'm going to go on ahead, you guys handle the rest. And then we cut back to the present, and we continue the fight with Sakamoto versus Uzuki. Either one of those two things are going to happen. But I'm happy though. While I find it really shocking that Sakamoto is back. It's already confronting Uzuki right now. I feel like we're probably going to get a flashback moment to explain how he got here so quickly in the first place. Not to mention the fact that this entire building also has JAA agents inside. So that means he basically ran through every single one of them, got up to Uzuki completely unscathed, and then decided to just give Uzuki the extreme tic-tac-toe treatment on his chest. So it should be interesting to see what happens in the next chapter. But overall, let's see. I really hope Sakamoto takes her under his wing and have her work at the store with him and everyone. I would not be surprised if Akira starts working with Sakamoto, given the fact that Sakamoto is the closest thing she has to a connection to Rion. This poor girl needs some positive in her life. Oh, Aoi is definitely going to be that woman for her. Definitely going to be there for her. Her and Lu. But more so Aoi because of the motherly nature. So it would not surprise me if Akira decides to be near Sakamoto by working at his store. That would not surprise me whatsoever. But this was a nice chapter though. I actually like this chapter because I can't wait to see how a revitalized, empowered, and 10 times, 100 times stronger Sakamoto does, how he does with going up against Takamura. Because remember, the last time Sakamoto faced off against Takamura, personality or a regular person, Takamura was incapable. Takamura basically trivialized Sakamoto, and he couldn't do anything against him. Now Sakamoto's back and better than ever, so it should be fun. I enjoyed this chapter a lot. Yes, me too. Me too. I enjoyed this chapter quite a lot. I'm looking forward to the next one next Sunday. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been my reaction for the most recent chapter, well, today's chapter of Sakamoto Days. I can't wait to see what next week's chapter has to offer. Like I said, I think it's going to go in the direction of showing us a mini flashback as to how Sakamoto got here, and then we cut back to the present, or we just cut to someone different entirely. Or we just continue the fight with Sakamoto versus Uzuki. Either one of those three things, and I'm sticking with those three things, but we'll see next week. Both One Piece and Sakamoto Days were very enjoyable this week. Yes, they were. Oh my goodness, that One Piece chapter was incredible. Oh, it was so good. And this chapter was incredible as well. So I'm looking forward to the next one. But that's all I got. It's time for me to rest. See you next time. Hope you have a good evening. Oh, I will. I am going to take this time to chill just a little bit, tidy up my room, and then get back on Warframe because I got stuff to do before the daily standing limit resets at 7. So I got to build that back up again. But to everyone here who has tuned in, all I can say to you, especially if you're watching live or if you're watching this a little bit later on, hi, how are you? Hope you all enjoyed. Can't wait to see you all in my next video. Like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. And even consider checking out my Patreon because I am always looking forward to entertaining you. And because I know you're coming back anyway. Have a fantastic day, and once again, as always, later, peoples!